Good day, youngins. This is Mr. Hotard here. Just have a short video on the last type of factoring that we didn't do on the last video. All right, this is factoring ax squared plus bx plus c when you don't have a greatest common factor. So in my last video, we've done all these other examples. We're just doing the bottom two examples in this one. So if I have to factor 2x squared minus 5x minus 12, now I always want to look for greatest common factor first, something I could divide out. But there is no GCF, all right? If that were a 6, then it'd be easy. You just divide it all by 2 and factor what's left. But since there isn't, I'm going to have to factor this a different way. Now, there are multiple ways of factoring this, all right? Different teachers kind of teach it different ways. To me, the easiest way to do this that I know of, I call the rainbow method. Rainbow method. It's called rainbow method just because your work winds up looking like a rainbow. You only use this method if there's a number in front of x squared and you cannot get rid of it with greatest common factor. So it's gonna look like a rainbow. I'm gonna multiply the first and the last number. 2 times negative 12, gonna give me negative 24. I'll just write it up here. So now I'm gonna factor this. I'm gonna split it up into 2 parentheses, put my x's. Now, instead of working with the 12, I'm working with 24. I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply to give me negative 24 and add to give me negative 5. So 2 numbers that multiply to give us negative 24. So there's 2 and 12, I can't get 5 from that. There's 6 and 4, I can't get 5 from that, but 8 and 3, that'll work. The bigger number has to be negative so that it adds to give me negative 5. So that's gonna be minus 8 plus 3. Right? Negative 8 times 3 gives me negative 24. Negative 8 plus 3 gives me negative 5. But that's not the answer, all right? Because only for this rainbow method, you have one last step. Since at the beginning, we multiplied this 12 by this 2, we have to go back and divide these numbers by this 2. Your last step in rainbow method, just for rainbow method, is go back and divide these by whatever was in front of x squared. So I'm dividing them by the 2. All right, so that's going to become x minus 4, and if it doesn't divide evenly, you try to reduce the fractions, and then if you can't, just move whatever you have on bottom in front of this x. It's going to be 2x plus 3. These are my factors. So again, only when you have a number in front of x squared, multiply the first and the last number, find 2 numbers that multiply to give you that rainbow number, add to give you that middle number. Last step, just go back and divide by whatever was in front of x squared. So if you look at example 9, same thing. I've got a number in front of x squared. There is no GCF, so I'm going to have to use this rainbow method. 18 times negative 1, that's negative 18. So now when I factor this, I need 2 numbers that multiply to give me negative 18 and add to give me negative 3. So 6 times 3 gives me 18. Which one's going to be negative? The 6. The bigger number has to be negative, so it has to give me negative 3. So it's going to be x minus 6, x plus 3. But that's not the final answer. What's the last step I have to do in rainbow method? Divide by the number in front of x squared. Divide by that 18. All right, now 18 is not going to divide evenly into 6, but I can reduce these fractions, both of them. All right, 6 over 18, I could divide top and bottom by 6. That becomes 1/3. So that's like x minus 1 over 3. And here that's x plus 3/18. I can divide that by 3. So that becomes 1 over 6. All right, and again, I don't want fractions in my factors. So if you can't divide it, you just move that bottom in front of the x. So this is going to factor into 3x minus 1 and 6x plus 1. Those are my factors, and it works. If you go back and FOIL that, if you multiply each of these by each of these, 3x times 6x will give you 18x squared. 3x times 1 gives me 3x. Negative 1 times 6x gives me negative 6x. Those combine to give me negative 3x. And negative 1 times 1 gives me negative 1. So it works. All right, that's the only new thing in this video right here. It's just that rainbow method.